the echoes of history, the fall of Troy, the Trojan horse, how a single lie destroyed the world's strongest city. Part 1. The silence on the sand. Close your eyes and imagine the year 1184 BC. For 10 long years, you have lived inside a cage of high stone walls. You are a citizen of Troy, the jewel of the Aegean. Every morning for a decade, you have looked over the battlements to see the same terrifying sight. 1,000 black ships anchored on your beach and the golden armour of the Greeks gleaming in the sun. You have forgotten what peace feels like. Your world is defined by the sound of clashing bronze and the smell of campfire smoke. But this morning, something is wrong. The air is too quiet. You climb to the highest tower, expecting another day of slaughter. But the beach is empty. The ships? Gone. The tents? Burned to ash. The Greeks, the most stubborn army in history, have vanished in the middle of the night. And there, standing alone in the centre of the abandoned Greek camp, is a wooden monster. Welcome to the English Oasis. Today, we don't just study history, we live it. We are beginning the legend of the Trojan horse, a story of how the world's strongest walls were broken, not by a sword, but by a lie. The massive bronze gates of Troy, which have been locked tight for 650 days, groan as they swing open. The people pour out like a river. They are laughing, crying, and falling to their knees to kiss the sand they haven't touched in a decade. They're gone! The crowds scream. The war is over. Amidst the ruins of the Greek camp, they find the horse. It is a terrifying masterpiece of engineering. 3 stories tall, built from the silver-grey planks of fir trees. It stands silent, its wooden eyes staring blankly at the city walls it could never climb. While the Trojans wonder if this is a peace offering or a curse, they find a man hiding in the tall grass. His name is Sinon. He is bruised, half-naked, and terrified. He falls at the feet of the Trojan king, Priam, and tells a story that would melt the hardest heart. The Greeks have fled, Sinon sobs. They grew tired of the dying. They wanted to go home, but the gods demanded a sacrifice for a safe voyage. They chose me. I was to be slaughtered on this very beach, but I escaped into the marshes. King Priam, moved by pity, orders Sinon's ropes to be cut. And the horse? The king asks. Why did they build this beast? Sinon looks at the horse with a faked look of holy fear. It is an offering to the goddess Athena, he whispers. The Greeks built it so large so that you could never pull it through your gate. They know that if this sacred horse enters Troy, the gods will protect you forever, and the Greeks will never return. The Trojans look at the horse and then at their walls. They see a trophy. They see a way to win the war forever. They do not see the hollow belly. They do not hear the heartbeats of the 40 elite soldiers hidden behind the wooden ribs. The trap is set, and the bait has been taken. Review. The narrative hook. This chapter shows that vulnerability, Sinon's tears, is often more persuasive than raw strength, the Greek army. Key storytelling vocabulary. Battlements. The top part of a wall with gaps for firing weapons. Slaughter. The killing of a large number of people, especially in war. Vanish. To disappear suddenly or completely. Offering. A gift or contribution given as an act of worship or peace. Hollow. Having an empty space inside, not solid. The Oasis practical thought. In our modern digital age, a Trojan horse is a metaphor for any hidden danger that arrives in a beautiful package. When a free app asks for your data, remember the beach of Troy. Part 2. The screams of the prophet. The city of Troy is in a frenzy. Thousands of people are pulling on thick hemp rope, dragging the wooden beast toward the city. But there is a problem. The horse is too tall. It cannot fit through the Scaean gates. In their madness, the Trojans do the unthinkable. They take hammers and stones, and they dismantle a section of their own legendary walls, the very walls that protected them for 10 years, just to let the gift inside. Suddenly, a woman pushes through the crowd. Her hair is wild, and her eyes are wide with a vision of fire. This is Cassandra, the daughter of King Priam. She has a gift from the god Apollo. She can see the future. But she also has a curse. No one will ever believe her. Stop, she shrieks, grabbing the ropes. I see a city of smoke. I see the streets running with the blood of our children. The belly of this beast is full of Greeks. The crowd laughs. They call her mad. They mock her. To them, she is just a woman who has lost her mind from the stress of the war. They push her aside and continue to pull. Then, a second warning comes. Laocoon, a priest of Poseidon, runs down from the temple. He doesn't have visions. He has logic. He looks at the horse and senses the cold truth. He famously shouts, "I fear the Greeks, even when they bring gifts." To prove his point, he grabs a heavy spear and hurls it at the horse's side. Clang. A metallic, hollow echo rings out through the square. For a split second, the crowd goes silent. They heard it, the sound of bronze armor hitting wood. The soldiers inside the horse hold their breath, hands on their swords, praying they aren't discovered. But then the sea explodes. 2 massive serpents emerge from the dark water, slithering onto the sand. They coil around Laocoon and his son, crushing the life out of them before dragging them back into the deep. The Trojans gasp in horror. They don't see this as a Greek trick. They see it as a sign from the gods that Laocoon was wrong. The warning is silenced. The horse enters the city. The gates are closed. The trap is now inside the house. Review: the narrative hook. This part of the story explores the Cassandra Complex, the tragedy of knowing the truth but being unable to convince anyone else. Key storytelling vocabulary: frenzy, a state or period of uncontrolled excitement or wild behavior. Dismantle, to take something apart, especially a structure or machine. Shriek, to utter a high-pitched, piercing sound or words. Mock, to tease or laugh at someone in a scornful or contemptuous manner. Coil, to wind into a series of loops or rings like a snake. The Oasis practical thought. In every team or company, there is often a Cassandra, someone who sees a risk before anyone else. Before you mock the person who disagrees with the big celebration, ask yourself, did I hear a metallic clang inside the wood? Part 3. The Night of Fire. The Trojans have never celebrated like this. For the first time in 10 years, they don't have to fear the dawn. They believe the war is over, so they drink until the barrels are empty. They dance until they collapse in the streets. Even the guards at the gates leave their posts to join the revelry. By midnight, a heavy, drunken silence falls over the city. Troy is vulnerable. Troy is asleep. In the center of the square, the wooden horse stands like a silent god. Suddenly, a small, muffled sound comes from its belly. Click, creak. A hidden trapdoor in the horse's stomach swings open. A silken rope drops to the stone floor. One by one, the ghosts begin to descend. Odysseus is the first, his eyes cold and sharp. Behind him come the elite Greek commandos, their bronze armor wrapped in dark cloth to prevent any glint or sound. They move like shadows through the sleeping streets. They don't start the massacre yet. They have a more important mission. They creep to the Scaean gates, the same gates the Trojans had partially dismantled just hours before. The few guards who are still awake are quickly and silently dispatched. With a massive groan of iron, the Greeks swing the great doors wide open. Outside, the darkness of the sea is suddenly broken by a single torch. It is the signal. The Greek fleet, which had been hiding behind the island of Tenedos, has returned. Thousands of Greek soldiers pour out of the ships and sprint across the sand. They don't need to climb the walls. They simply walk through the open front door. Then the first torch is thrown. Then another, and another. The Trojans wake up, not to the sound of trumpets, but to the crackle of burning wood and the screams of their neighbours. The air is thick with the smell of smoke and the metallic tang of blood. The gift has opened its mouth, and it is breathing fire. Review: the narrative hook. This part of the story illustrates the concept of complacency. The Trojans' greatest failure wasn't a lack of strength, but the belief that the danger had passed. Key storytelling vocabulary: revelry, lively and noisy festivities, especially those involving drinking. Descend, to move or fall downward. Glint, a small flash of light reflected from a shiny surface. Massacre, an unnecessary, indiscriminate killing of a large number of people. Dispatch, to deal with a task or, in this context, to kill someone quickly and efficiently. The Oasis practical thought: in the world of cybersecurity, a Trojan works exactly like this. It waits until the system is asleep or the user is distracted before opening the gates to a larger attack. True security requires constant vigilance, even when the war seems to be over. Part 4. The Final Stand. King Priam, the old and weary ruler of Troy, wakes up to find his palace surrounded by shadows and steel. He puts on his ancient armor with trembling hands, ready to die as a soldier. But his wife, Queen Hecuba, begs him to take refuge at the altar of Zeus. "The gods are our only hope now," she cries. But the gods have turned their faces away. Into the palace courtyard bursts Neoptolemus, the son of Achilles. He is young, cruel, and fueled by the rage of 10 years of war. He finds Priam's youngest son, Polites, and strikes him down before his father's eyes. In a moment of agony, King Priam throws a weak spear at the young Greek, but it hits Neoptolemus's shield with a pathetic thud. The king of Troy is dragged to the altar and executed in the very place he sought sanctuary. While the royal blood stains the marble, the Greek hero Menelaus storms through the city, searching for one person, Helen. He had come to Troy to kill her for her betrayal. He finds her in her chambers. Trembling, he raises his sword to strike, but he looks into her eyes, and his heart fails him. The sword drops. The face that launched 1,000 ships had saved her life one last time. In the streets, the hero Aeneas realizes that Troy is lost. He sees the smoke rising from the great library and the temples. He doesn't stay to fight a losing battle. Instead, he gathers his elderly father on his back and leads a small group of survivors through a secret passage under the city. As he looks back, he sees the great walls of Troy, the walls the Trojans themselves tore down, crumbling into the sea. The city that stood for centuries is gone in a single night. The Greeks have won, but at a cost that will haunt them for the rest of their lives. Review: the narrative hook. This chapter shows the tragedy of consequences. The Greeks' victory is absolute, but it is achieved through the brutal destruction of a culture, not just an army. Key storytelling vocabulary: refuge, a condition of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or trouble. Agony, extreme physical or mental suffering. Sanctuary, a place of refuge or safety, often a holy place. Betrayal, the action of betraying one's country, a group, or a person. Treachery. Survivor, a person who remains alive after an event. The Oasis practical thought. Aeneas's escape is a powerful reminder that when your city, your project, or your company is truly falling, the bravest thing you can do is preserve the seeds of your culture. Aeneas would go on to found what would eventually become Rome. Out of the ashes of Troy, an empire was born. Part 5. The aftermath, the ghost of a city. As the smoke clears, the legendary city of Troy is nothing but a blackened scar on the coast. The wooden horse, the instrument of this great destruction, stands scorched and abandoned in the middle of the ruins. Its job is done. It was the perfect lie, and it worked because it fed on the one thing stronger than iron: human hope. The Greeks won the war, but their journey home would be a nightmare. Because they had violated the temples and altars of Troy during the massacre, the gods turned against them. Odysseus would spend another 10 years wandering the seas, lost and alone. Agamemnon would return home only to be murdered by his own wife. The victory of the Trojan horse was a Pyrrhic victory, a win that came at such a high cost that it felt like a defeat. But the legend did not die. The story of the horse became a warning passed down through thousands of years. It taught us that walls can be built, but trust, once broken, can never be repaired. It taught us that the most dangerous enemy is not the one outside your gate, but the one you invite into your heart. Troy fell, but in its fall, it gave the world its greatest lesson in the power of strategic deception. History is a mirror. When we look at the Trojan horse today, we see more than just a wooden statue. We see the beginning of modern psychology and strategy. At the English Oasis, we don't just look at the past to remember names. We look at the past to understand our future. You now hold the story of Troy in your hands. Use it to be wiser, use it to be more skeptical, and, most importantly, use it to find your own voice. If the echoes of Troy moved you today, don't let your journey end here. The gates of the Oasis are always open for those who seek the truth behind the legends. Subscribe to the Oasis to master the language of history and the art of persuasion. Share the legend. If you know someone who needs to hear the warning of Cassandra, send them this story. Don't just be a spectator of history, be a student of it. Stay global, stay curious, and I'll see you at the English Oasis.